had to do the basketball game. If you're on social media, it's been a firestorm. There's a picture with the referees from LSU, Anthony Jordan, holding up an LSU T-shirt with quote unquote "Go Tigers," and I just wonder if you're aware of it. After a game like that, with sort of controversial calls, how does that sit?
I am aware of it. Obviously, it's been brought to my attention, and all I can tell you is that I've got trust and faith in the SEC office, that I know they are going to do their due diligence and look at it, and I just think that they will handle it the way it should be handled, and that's really all I can say about it. I mean, I really truly always try to be as honest as I can with you guys. In a situation like that, all I can do is tell you the protocol that I have to go through, and truly believe that the SEC will do their due diligence, which I have full confidence they will.
Rick, up 9 with 6 to go, and obviously the other team has something to do with it, but you want to develop obviously that killer instinct, being able to put teams away. Is that a matter, coach, of mindset or increasing the intensity of offensive rapport? How do you view that?
Well, I view that as a game, and you're on the road up 9. I mean, you expect the team's going to make a push, and then there's a lot of things that can come into play. There could be turnovers, it could be calls here or there. That it could be a lot of different things that go into it. But I thought our guys, and then if it got down to it, we had the lead and gave up an offensive rebound with that. And you expect this time of year to be in a possession game here or there every time you play. And then you think about the plays that bothered me more than anything would be, they had Jordan Bones' intentional foul, and then Grant was falling out of bounds and throws the ball back in, which you should never do. He should just take the turnover right there. So you give 4 points away in situations like that, and free throws. And so you take those plays, and then at the end we did not defend the ball the way we need to. We didn't do it. We had a couple stops when we had to, when we really had to, which I thought was good. But when you go back and think about them getting the second shot, which they're good at that, but throughout the entire game, we did a pretty good job keeping the team that thrives on offensive rebounds off the glass. But the fact is, I don't think it's anything that I'm alarmed about, other than I want to see us win every game. And when we don't execute the way I think we need to, Grant picked up a charge where he doesn't normally do that, or he was called for a charge in that situation, and so it's just you learn from it. And we got to look at the things that we've got to do to continue to get better. But we know going in it, we're going to be in games like this the rest of the way. There's no question about that. And we've got to make sure we know how to handle those situations. And we've got to do a better job, obviously.
For Grant, Martin, and Steve.
How do you get Jordan Bowden back to being the guy he was?
Well, that's a great question. And you know what? It's up to him to do his job. I mean, we can't put everything on certain guys every night. We need everybody to do their job, and consistency is a key word, but that's been a key word with him throughout his career. And when he has been at his best is when he is totally locked in on the defensive end, getting out, running the lanes like he's capable of, and so again, I don't have any question he's going to do that, but we need him to do it now.
Greg, you guys are really high assist team all season, but the last 3 games those numbers have been down. What do you attribute that to, and is that a concern at all?
Yeah, well, it's a concern because we got too many guys playing with the ball, holding the ball too long, trying to think they got to make the play when in reality they don't. Ever since we've been here, when we've been good, it's when we're all moving the ball, playing together, and letting the offense work for it, as opposed to guys trying to dribble, raise up and shoot the ball. And it comes mostly from the guards. Where if they're going to dribble, at some point in time they got to get fouled. You look at that number, we're probably as low as any team in the league where our guards drive the ball and get fouled. They choose to raise up and shoot difficult jump shots, and we don't even want them to do that. We want them to continue to let our offense work, but our guards do need to get fouled more, and the only way they're going to do that is being more aggressive, attacking the basket as opposed to just settling for jump shots.
Just to clarify from the first question, have you contacted the SEC office regarding that?
I have been in contact with them since the game a couple of different times, and I appreciate them and how they talked to me and what we talked about. And like I said, I have full confidence they're going to do the right thing. I really do. They understand the situation, and they're as upset about it as we would be. And but the fact is, they'll handle it, and then we've got to get ready to play another game.
But it was specifically about the Facebook thing and not just the calls themselves.
I've been in contact with them about everything that's happened. Yes.
Jimmy, Corey, and Dan.
A couple of things. I know you don't like the rule about the inability to call timeout during live ball. What was the reason that rule was put in the first place? What was the explanation given?
The scrums out in the middle of the floor when the players, 4, 5, 6 guys are on the floor trying to come up with a loose ball, and all at once the coach way down the floor calls timeout, and the referee there blows his whistle, not even knowing if his team's got the ball. And that was that I think was the real reason it was put in. And the fact of the matter is, I don't think coaches should be allowed to call a timeout in that situation, but I do think that coaches should be allowed to call timeouts. And I think we put referees in tough positions. And I think one thing we have to do to continue to improve our game is do everything we can to help referees do a very difficult job. And that puts them in a position that I'm trying to yell at a player to call a timeout or something. And if I don't get it, they hear it, they call a timeout, and then everybody looks at them saying, well, no player called it, where they're expecting the guy to do it. So I just don't think the rule makes sense. At the end of the game, I mean, anytime we should be able to call timeouts except when there's a scrum in the middle of the floor and we don't know who's got the ball. But that's the reason I think it was put in.
And why do you think your on-ball defense wasn't better, particularly the second half?
I think that, again, we got away from the coverage that we were doing, and post guys came up and didn't make coverage. But it goes back to our guards all year. We tell them all year long, you guard the ball until you hear the coverage call. And if they start looking around trying to see it themselves, and again, they've got to have their head on a swivel looking at it. But in the meantime, because nowadays so many teams just slip screens, they don't even set a screen. And so if you start jumping one side or the other, you're giving up the lane to the basket. And the first rule in basketball, you've got to guard your man. And we were allowing them to get down the lane, and then we were really wanting to shrink the floor. We did a good job for the most part, but we started spreading out at the end of the game. And but we've got to get better there. And we've talked about that all year. And we have gotten better, but we've got to be more consistent.
Rick, I know you addressed this a little bit after the last game, but have you had a chance to go over that final play where Grant picked up the foul with less than a second left? And just what are your thoughts on that now that you've had a chance to go back and look
Well,
at
my
it?
thought is that, I mean, it's a tough way to end a basketball game. I mean, it's a tough way. And that's, I mean, I'd hate to see it happen to anybody for a game again like that, but people are going to say if it's a foul early in the game, it's a foul late in the game. I could go back and point out different situations where I said, well, if that contact's called, this contact should have been called, and what you want again is consistency. And again, I think I don't think there's any question in terms of officiating. Our officiating nationwide is trending in the right direction in terms of people that are really involved with officiating are really trying to get it right. I do believe that. Do we have a ways to go? We do. And but again, I hate to, it was a tough way to end a game and watch somebody get to shoot 2 free throws with .6 on the clock.
You just touched on this a little bit. Could you talk a little bit more about the challenge of guarding dribble penetration, particularly when you got guarded like that LSU guarded just getting to the rim?
Well, again, it's hard for anybody to guard the ball, but we've got guys that I think are more than capable that can do that. But then you've got to have help from your teammates, and it goes with ball screen coverage. I mean, I can tell you that our post guys a couple of times didn't help them out the way they need to. But I do think it's a real challenge for our guards to understand that they have to work hard to stand in front of the ball, because again, once you get, and everybody tries to beat you off the dribble, that's part of the game, and it's going to happen. It's not going to be perfect, but you got to win those more than you lose them, because when you start getting beat off the dribble, you start helping, now you open up chances for teams to get to the glass to rebound it and this and that. And but some of the situations, it was some guys getting beat off the dribble for when they shouldn't have, and others were when the coverage wasn't right, and they got beat that way.
Rob, Troy, and Gene.
Coach, I guess this is maybe hand in hand with dribble penetration. Is that why you guys are fouling so much? The 2 best conference teams you play, Kentucky and LSU, you guys were listed for 47 fouls. Have you seen a common thread?
Well, I can tell you this, I don't think we've changed. I don't think we're playing any different. I mean, we talk about not fouling. And so I can't answer that question, Rob, other than the fact that we have not talked about we're going to start fouling more. And so again, we have, you I guess would have to say that teams are trying to make us foul, which you go into a game, they're going to try to put fouls on Grant Williams and Admiral Schofield, probably and maybe even a Jordan Bone. Kyle Alexander has gotten into some foul trouble, and I could defend him in a lot of ways where I don't think he's got a great whistle. I don't, but and has it affected him? We talked about it, so it has. But as a team overall, we have not changed the way we've played all year long, and I don't know how to answer that question because I know it's a big discrepancy, and I'm scratching my head for it too, to be quite honest with you.
Rick, Grant seemed to think he got hooked late in regulation there. I know it's been called a few times in the games this year. Do you feel like that call has been called consistently throughout since it's been implemented this season?
I think this. I think if referees do what they're told, I don't think they'll have a problem. I don't. And I think that they go over there and they look, and some guys, look at calls, look at fouls, and again, I don't know how it all works. I know they sometimes in our situation are talking to people back, but the call's got to be made, and they can't be afraid. If an ejection is warranted, you have to eject somebody. You have to, whether you want to. And again, you just got to officiate the rules. And I think that anybody, J.D. Collins, Mark Whitehead, the people that work with the officials day in and day out, that's what they want. They want consistency. They want them to officiate the rules of the game. And now that they have a chance to go over and look at all those things, you'd have to think they can get it right. And whether they do or they don't, I mean, who's it subject to? I mean, a rule's a rule. And I know this. They know what the rule is, and now they got to just go and they got to get it right. And if there's 3 guys looking at it or 2, whatever, I don't know. I don't know what the discussion is and whether it's a flagrant 1, 2, whatever. I don't know how that discussion plays out.
Rick, obviously you're not happy about the way that the ending to the ball game as far as the call, but are you also kind of hoping that in that last moment you're not getting a contested 3-point shot from Monte followed
Yes.
by maybe a bad reaching foul by Grant, regardless of whether they call it or not?
Yes, I mean, again, in both plays, Lamonte and Jordan Bone were coming to settle for threes. They should be putting the ball, take the ball to the basket. And we had enough time to do that, and we couldn't do that. Again, you don't want players coming down the floor thinking, okay, I'm just going to bring it up here and raise it for a 3. You want to be more aggressive than that, and then you can't fault Grant. I mean, playing it out, you plan to win. That's just natural reactions. That's what that is. And so, no, I don't want anybody to think that we're blaming officials for anything. I mean, like I said, the SEC will do their due diligence on what they think. We've got to worry about what we have to do to be the team that we want to be and make the plays when we need to make them, and we'll learn from it. And you know what? We're pretty much in the same situation we were a year ago right now, coming down the stretch. And again, we've got a chance to continue to play. We just got to worry about our next game. We're getting ready to play a team that's had a great year, a team that's fast, a team that has leads 4 in the league, and another one that's playing great. And we've got to get ready to play and move on. And we've got a lot of respect for Ole Miss and what they're doing and the year they've had, and that's where our focus has to be.
Jimmy, I was going to ask you about Ole Miss. What impresses you most about their team?
Well, I think they're defending at a very high level. They're going to change defenses. They like their 1-3-1 back to and they can change different defenses out of it. And they just want to see how you can handle that. They play a fast-paced game, and what I mean by that, I think their offense, there's a lot of speed brought to it, and 2 terrific guards that play really good basketball. And Kermit's done a great job stepping in with Andy Kennedy when I had so much respect for Andy and what he did, and I think Kermit would be the first to tell you that he was able to inherit some good players, and he's done a terrific job with them. And so we know, again, they're a terrific team. They're as good as anybody that will play, and they've proven they can play with anybody in the country.
Will Lewis and then Wes.
Coach, after the Kentucky game, you applauded your team's maturity handling that loss. Did you see the same kind of maturity after the South loss?
Yeah, I don't have any reason. I mean, I think these guys know that they'll come in and we'll look at it and do what we got to do. And again, we'll do what we've done. And I know this: they want to win, and they know it's not going to be easy, and we just got to keep moving forward.
have to talk to them about, hey, maybe that call didn't go the right way. Where do you find that line between kind of letting them know, hey, you just got a bad deal there, versus, hey, you still could have done something to control this or control it or control it?
Well, I think you guys know me well enough. I'm going to be honest with my players. And I'm going to say, I can say all the things you just said, but I will say too that we have to control the outcome of the game. But because I know they're young, I know they're hearing a lot of stuff that's being said, and they have for the last 2 weeks, really. And I don't want them thinking about officiating and this and that, because I do know that I've got confidence in our officials in our league here. Are they perfect or not? Are some better than others? They are. Can some handle different environments better than others? They absolutely can, but it's no different than players. I can say the same thing about players, and you can talk about coaches probably. But the fact of the matter is, we've got to keep our eyes focused on what we have to do as a team and how we've got to get better. And to me, that, and you don't ever stop thinking that way until the season's over with, because we can always find ways to improve. We have to.
Steve and Eugene.
Kyle seemed to kind of break through there in the second half. So, I mean, what did you see from him during that second half stretch, and just how encouraging is it after what not done this for the last couple of weeks?
Well, again, we talked to Kyle, and he's trying to figure some of this out too, because he's been in foul trouble, and we tell him he's got to stay aggressive. And in his mind, he says, "If I'm aggressive, I seem to pick up fouls." And I said, "Well, you got to be aggressive without fouling, obviously." But and I think a guy that's in his position often can get caught up in a lot of things where officials make calls that maybe he's not the guy that called that foul. But it's hard to officiate this game. But I think with him, he's just got to be aggressive. I think he's got to be the player that we know he can be in the long run. It all works out. It does. And but I thought his demeanor's been really good the last 2 games. I thought he has gotten back to being the aggressive player that we wanted to be.
Rick, Ole Miss kind of made news over the weekend as far as some things that happened on that campus. Is that something that you actually have to talk to the players about in terms of how they may need to handle that in the event that there are any lingering effects?
Well, we were off yesterday, so we obviously weren't together as a team yesterday. And one, I really admire and understand those young men, because one thing they've made it clear, they had no intentions of disrespecting the American flag. It was all about the fact that the hate crime that they felt like they had to demonstrate, and I admire them for that, because that shouldn't be anywhere. And so I think the way their administration and Kermit handled that is terrific, and I think and the fact that they were willing to stand up for what they believe and what we should all believe actually is a good thing. But I don't know if there's anything else planned for this weekend, this week down there. I don't know. I haven't. Again, maybe that's was a weekend thing that they had, and that's all I can tell you.
Any other questions? We'll finish with Jimmy.
Rick, there was a situation where Grant Williams had been called for blocking the foul. It was near the baseline, and they called a flagrant on LSU when they went to review it. When they review that, can they take that call away from Grant Williams? Is that a reviewable call there? I don't think it is, but I want to make sure.
They cannot take that foul off. They can't. Obviously the foul shouldn't have been called, but they can't take the foul off. They can't.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you all.
Rick.